Richard.
I think you took the list of people speaking.
Hmm? Yeah, I got it.
You leave that?
Yep, I'll read it.
Thanks, Chuck Schumer. I want to say a kind word about my colleagues from the Senate Judiciary Committee, Sheldon Whitehouse and Mazie Hirano. Something interesting has happened in that committee in recent times. I've been on the committee long enough to have considered literally hundreds, if not thousands, of nominees, and I kind of know the line of questioning that'll be asked of each of the nominee candidates. That's changed. It changed this year. The questions that are being asked are more fundamental to the Constitution. Basic questions like, do you believe the executive is bound by court orders? I wouldn't have thought to ask that in previous years, but I had to ask it this year because the question is whether or not, given a court order, Donald Trump or his administration will feel bound to follow it as a rule of law. The questions are asked and the answers are all over the park. The uncertainty of these nominees as to what the president would do when pushed to the limit, where the court is saying to him, you have to stop doing this, or you have to start doing this, or you'll be found in contempt. Donald Trump doesn't like to lose. We know that. He said it over and over again. And he's been losing one court case after another because of his outrageous executive orders. 97%, according to Chuck Schumer, and I don't doubt it, have found against him in the courts in what he's been trying to do. And when he loses, what does he say about the judges? Lunatics, communists. These people hate America. Even the judges that he appointed, for goodness sakes. He's turned on Leonard Leo, his patron for so many years, and called him a sleazebag. You can't keep up with this president when it comes to hurling these invectives. But there's one thing that they did, and they didn't want to make as public a show of it, and that's the provision we're talking about today. In a 1,000-page bill on the budget, they put in a provision to try to make sure that in many cases, Donald Trump can't lose. How do they do this? Well, they say rather if you want to enforce a court order as a plaintiff, enforcing it, for example, a contempt citation, there has to be a security bond filed. Well, of course, what that means is if you didn't put the money up front when you filed the case, it comes to enforcement of the order, they're able to challenge it on this basis. This is another provision by the Trump administration to avoid responsibility, avoid accountability, avoid transparency, and avoid losing. Well, that's no surprise, but why is it important? It's important because it goes to the heart of the Constitution. Article 3 courts are the last recourse when it comes to challenging the executive branch, even the congressional branch. They have to have the power of the Constitution behind them to stand for their decisions and to make those decisions without fear or favor. If this provision is included in here, and I hope it won't be included, it's going to make it extremely difficult to enforce the law, enforce court orders. That's what it's all about. Trump doesn't want to lose, and he's been losing consistently. He hates these judges, but he can't remove them. They're in for life. And now he's decided to change the procedures of the court so that he can't be forced to enforce court orders. That is unacceptable, and it goes to the heart of our constitutional democracy.